Today I thought I'd give you kind of a tour of my studio. We just had my first session for the CD that I'm going to be putting out. I don't know when it's coming out exactly, to be honest with you, but we had our first session Monday night a couple days ago, and for the first time in a long time my studio isn't a complete mess, so I thought this would be a good time to kind of give you a tour. Okay, so over here we have my drum set. This is a Ludwig breakbeat set. Most jazz drummers that play the kind of music I do use very small sets like this. It's kind of characteristic of the sound. And also, it's very, very portable. Because I learned years ago when you have to break this set down, take it out to your car, take it into the gig, and you got to do that multiple times a week, that would get very tedious if I had to do that with some big double bass set with 8 toms and, 6 or 7 cymbals. So it's a small set. I upgraded my microphone setup I guess a few months back here. I've got a nice bass drum mic here. I've got an SM57 Shure mic for the snare drum. I've got an overhead condenser mic here, catch the overall sound of the drums. And normally I've got one on the left here. The reason that's not set up is because I just came back from a gig and I needed the mic stand and the cord, and it's in the car. So anyway, normally I've got 4 mics on my drums, and that allows me to dial in the sound. If I want a little more drums on the recording, I can turn it up, or maybe I want more, more reverb on the snare, I can turn that up a little bit. So it allows you to really tailor the sound. Talk to you about the room here while I'm back in this corner. You see some sound tiles on the wall there. The purpose of sound tiles like that is to cut down on reflections off the wall, because most basements, most rooms, you have sheetrock on the walls, and you get sound waves bouncing off those walls, and it sounds just terrible on a recording. So that's to minimize the reflections off the wall. And also what I have done to minimize reflections, I have acoustic tiles on the ceiling rather than a sheetrock ceiling. I've got some packing blankets on the wall here instead of acoustic tiles, which serve the same purpose. Whether they work as well as the acoustic tiles, I don't know, but they work, and they're less expensive than the acoustic tiles. Eventually I may replace those. Let's see what else. Over here, for Monday's session, I had an upright bass player in, Aaron Leonard. Here's his mics. He's got 2 different mics here. Small pencil condenser mics. And what that does, it keeps too much of the drums, the sound of the drums, from bleeding into those mics, so you get mostly, bass. It helps to at least isolate the sound using these small condenser mics. Also, I've got this futon mattress I moved against the wall, and the reason I did that was I noticed there was all this sheetrock again in this corner that wasn't covered up, and I realized we're going to get a lot of reflections. From what I can tell in the recording, the upright bass sounds fantastic, so all this stuff really helped. The floor, I've got carpet rather than just concrete. It's just a makeshift, just lots of pieces of carpet is what I've got, but again, it's functional. That's the only place there's concrete on the floor, a little spot over there. Again, packing blanket over here. What else do I want to tell you here? Let's see, getting back to this part of the room, we've got a keyboard. And so basically I record acoustic sounds with a MIDI keyboard, because I don't have an acoustic piano down here, a grand piano. But you would be amazed how much that sounds like an acoustic piano. The sounds are, they use actual sampled pianos to make those samples, so honestly, you really can't tell the difference. At least most people can't. Maybe a really great pianist could tell the difference listening. So anyway, that's done with MIDI. It's electronic, but it sounds acoustic. What else? You'll see that I have a couple ancient computers here. That one over in the corner there I use to practice improvising on the piano and the guitar. I put in chord progression sometimes. That's why I keep that computer mostly. Still looks kind of like a mess, doesn't it? Anyway, this is my main recording computer, and it is an old Dell with still running Windows XP. It uses Cakewalk, which I've been a Cakewalk user for many, many years. Most of the time it works really well. We did have some problems Monday night, which I think I've fixed. Had to defragment the hard drive, some other things. But anyway, and the purpose in staying with this old computer is once you have all your programs working on an old computer like this and a sound card, you really don't want to upgrade unless you absolutely have to, because it's hard enough to get them working. I remember the first copy of Cakewalk I got, it took me like 2 days to even get a sound out of the computer. So complex. What else? I've got a couple of Mackie Monitors for mixing there. I upgraded, back in the corner here, I don't know how well you can see this, but that is a headphone amp, I guess. It's got, what, 4 or 5 outputs on that, so everybody in the studio, the whole band, can have their own set of headphones and listen to each other. Especially they have to be able to listen to the keyboard, because again, that's done with MIDI. Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to add to that. This room, originally I had an unfinished basement, and so it didn't have any rooms in it at all. And my friend, Barry Brown, who's also a musician, I met him in college, and he's really good with construction, remodeling, all that kind of thing. And he actually built this room for me. And a few things about the room that you can't see: we've got insulation in the walls. That's just to cut down on sound coming into the room so they don't get in the microphones. That's kind of unusual to insulate the inside, an inside room like this in a basement. We also put insulation in the ceiling for the same reason, so you can't hear people walking up there. Sometimes you still do hear people walking up there. I'm real particular when I'm doing vocals, but I think that's pretty much covers everything that I wanted to cover here.